Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the harsh reality behind that viral, frankly shocking footage coming out of Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood. We're going to really look closely at the data, the history, and the first-hand accounts to figure out exactly what's happening on these streets. Because honestly, this isn't just a story about one city. It's a window into a much, much larger crisis.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Just a few minutes away from Philadelphia's luxury apartments, the expensive restaurants, the bustling tourist spots, there's a place where people are literally collapsing in the middle of the street. Human beings standing completely frozen, like statues, right in broad daylight while dealers openly sell drugs. It honestly looks like the end of civilization. But when you look closely at the reality on the ground, you realize this is not a movie set, and it's not a war zone. Over the last few years, millions of us have seen these viral videos popping up from this exact neighborhood. You know the ones, videos showing unconscious bodies lying near train stations, people completely unable to walk properly. When these clips first hit the internet, a lot of viewers actually thought the footage had to be fake, or they compared it to some kind of zombie apocalypse. But the horrifying truth, which we're breaking down today, is that this humanitarian disaster is entirely, absolutely real, and it all centers around one specific substance.
So, the absolutely crucial piece to understanding all of this is the microscopic chemical driving the crisis: fentanyl. This is easily one of the strongest drugs to ever hit America's streets. We're talking up to 50 times stronger than heroin. Now, fentanyl wasn't originally designed for the streets at all. It was actually created for legitimate medical pain treatment, but it's mutated into one of the deadliest illegal drugs in the whole country. And the most terrifying part of that chemical equation, even a tiny, literally microscopic amount can be lethal. Now, you might be wondering, why did cartels suddenly flood the streets with fentanyl in the first place? Well, because unlike plant-based drugs, it's 100% synthetic. You don't need to farm crops like poppies, which makes it incredibly cheap to manufacture in a lab, highly compact, super easy to transport, and astronomically stronger. People who were dependent on heroin switched over because of that lower cost and higher potency. But fentanyl destroys the human body at a terrifyingly rapid pace. Muscles literally stop responding normally. The brain gets damaged. Users will sometimes stay bent forward for minutes at a time, totally unable to move, which is exactly why the internet started throwing around the term zombie streets. But it's vital to remember, these aren't zombies, they're human beings experiencing rapid physical collapse.
Section 1. How Kensington Collapsed.
You know, decades ago, Kensington wasn't this desperate area filled with trash and needles. It used to be this bustling hub of factories and working-class families living perfectly normal lives. But it played out like a tragic historical domino effect. First, the industries collapsed. That led to sudden, massive job losses, an explosion of poverty, and abandoned buildings. And that economic vulnerability, it basically primed the city for step 2, the pharmaceutical opioid push. Companies pushed highly addictive painkillers all across the country, making millions dependent. Then, when those prescriptions got harder to come by, dependent individuals were funneled directly into the street heroin market. And finally, when fentanyl arrived, it took over the market entirely, and the neighborhood just spiraled completely out of control.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Fentanyl Empire.
So how does this incredibly powerful, lab-created drug make its way from production all the way to the sidewalks of Philadelphia? It certainly doesn't happen by accident. U.S. authorities trace this massive supply chain right back to international trafficking networks and cartel operations. The drugs move through these super complex, hidden smuggling routes to cross the border, ultimately bleeding into major American cities. From there, local street dealers distribute it block by block. And because fentanyl is just so potent, dealers can hide tiny quantities that still generate massive, massive profits. Literally just one single shipment has the potential to poison an entire neighborhood.
And tragically, because of how this market operates, many users don't even know fentanyl's mixed into the drugs they're buying. They think they're getting something else entirely, and then suddenly they overdose. This toxic adulteration is causing death rates to just explode directly on public streets. We're looking at thousands upon thousands of overdose deaths in America every single year, directly tied to this one substance. Let's look at Section 3, the humans behind the headlines.
It's really easy to look at the overwhelming police patrols, the flashing lights, and the heavy atmosphere, and forget the deeply human crisis unfolding every single day. The individuals sleeping under bridges, screaming into the air, or hiding out inside abandoned houses, they weren't all lifelong criminals. Actually, the data and stories from the ground show us that many started out as totally normal, stable, everyday workers.
A lot of the people trapped on these streets were, and still are, parents.
They're people who slowly, agonizingly lost their homes, their careers, their health, and their families to an inescapable physical dependency. And in an environment where violence and robbery are just part of the landscape, simply surviving day to day turns into this incredibly dangerous ordeal.
And it breaks your heart, but some were just injured patients who got perfectly legal painkillers from a doctor before spiraling into street addiction. Escaping that cycle is immensely difficult, and a lot of folks relapse repeatedly. But actually, it's really vital to note that amidst all this chaos, there is still hope. Dedicated volunteers, rehab workers, and doctors are out there patrolling this area right now. They're on the ground passing out food, medical supplies, and Narcan, which is a simple medicine that can temporarily reverse these deadly overdoses and literally save lives.
Now, thanks to social media, millions around the world are asking, how can this exist in one of the richest countries on Earth? The internet fiercely debates who's to blame. Some folks point the finger squarely at international cartels. Others blame the pharmaceutical companies for sparking the opioid dependency in the first place, and some blame weak government policies or border security. But as an impartial explainer of the facts, we have to recognize that regardless of the politics or where you point the finger, the daily human suffering on these streets is just undeniable.
Which brings us to Section 4, a national warning. This leads us to a pretty terrifying realization. Kensington is not an isolated incident. It's not just one unlucky neighborhood in Pennsylvania. Similar, devastating scenes are unfolding across multiple American cities right now. We're seeing it in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, parts of Chicago. Experts are warning that this epidemic is evolving and spreading way faster than medical treatment programs or government interventions can control it. The drug just keeps pouring in every day, and addiction simply isn't something that can be solved overnight. Some officials are literally calling this a slow-moving national disaster, and the urgency of that is striking. Even as night falls and police sirens echo through Kensington, families who are trapped in these neighborhoods, kids growing up surrounded by addiction, they're forced to treat this terrifying reality as just an ordinary day. Stores still open, the buses still run. Everyday life just kind of continues in the shadow of an epidemic. As this crisis continues spreading across the country, fueled by this microscopic chemical and decades of systemic failures, we're left with the most disturbing thought of all. When a society begins to accept a nightmare of this magnitude simply as the new normal, what happens next? It's a question that should definitely leave us all wanting to understand more and absolutely demanding better solutions.